Identified a couple of things where action can be taken. You just mentioned there sanctions against the smugglers. Clearly something more can be done. Things are being done, but more can be done. And he mentioned also hitting the networks, and they've set up this G5 security organization in the region, which will go after the smugglers. The wider question, though, I think that everybody's going to be asking is, what do you do with the people that are in the detention centres? The European Union comes under a lot of criticism at the moment from Africa for causing a blockade inside Libya. But the European leaders face this problem of not being able to, or being very reluctant to let immigrants come in large numbers because of the electoral consequences. So it's an extremely difficult position that the European leaders have at the moment. They're not prepared to budge very much in it. Macron said for asylum seekers who are not being repressed at home, there's going to be no way into Europe.
He's saying that they'll be sent back, in fact.
Now, although it's not clear how, it's the other...
Well, right, that's exactly the issue. Now, he also spoke about the democracy, and there have been recent changes in the continent that we've seen in the last few days and months as well. What about democracy in Africa?
Well, it was interesting to listen to Emmanuel Macron just now, because what he said fits into the pattern of what he's been saying over the last few days and before that as well, that France is not going to lecture Africa about how it should conduct its affairs. France now has an entirely new, totally post-colonial relationship with the continent. Yes, he would like to see more democracy, but he's not going to go around Africa telling African leaders, you've got to hold elections now, you've got to hold them in this way or the other way. That, he said, is a role for the African Union. Now, whether or not the African Union is going to assume that role is an entirely different matter, of course. But it was interesting to see Emmanuel Macron putting his words into action when he was at Ouagadougou University on Tuesday, standing out in front of the students saying, ask me your questions. He'd been told at the beginning he would just have 4 questions to answer, which had been selected for him in advance. He said, no, I'm going to go beyond that and allow you to put your questions to me. That, I think, was a demonstration of him putting democracy into practice and opening himself up to tough questions from the audience.